Hello everyone and welcome back to the course. In this course, we're going to learn the fundamentals of another UI element, and that's the image element. So let's get started. In the palette section on the left side, you have here image. So click and drag onto the canvas. And now the same as with the button, you can drag and put it somewhere here. And you can rescale the image. As other UI element as well, you have on the right side size to content. So if this is unchecked, size to content, you can freely rescale the element. And also you can update it here if you want. So for example, let's say size X, I want to be 200 and size Y, 50. So this is the X, horizontal, and the Y is vertical. Okay, so here in the image size, this won't have any effect because it's not size to content. Size to content means when you select it, we are getting the original dimensions of this element. For example, when I click this arrow here, this is the original size. But we can change these properties. So for example, I will make it 60 by 60, and this is going to be it. So because it's size to content, you cannot just drag like this and rescale it. Here it's updating, but it doesn't have any effect because this is preventing that to happen. So now if I uncheck this, we're going to get these dimensions here. Okay, so it's up to you what you're going to use, but you have these two options. Me, I'm going to use size to content because I want to play with the properties over here. Now we are drawing this image as image, but you can change this to something like box. You can change this to border. And now we don't have any borders, so it looks invisible, but it's still here. Now let's add borders. So go to margin. And if you add left border, when you unselect, we have this one border on the left side. Let's add to the right side. Now we have left and right. Now I will select it again. If you change the color and opacity, let's say something like red. So this is the image color, but because we have just borders on the left and right, we just see the color of the border. But if you draw this as an image, we're gonna see this is all red. So in the color and opacity, you can change any color you want. I will leave it as a blue. Something like darker like this. So let's compile and save. And now we have blue image. So what can we use this image for? We can use mostly for backgrounds. For example, we can make it like 9020 by 1080. Because now we are on the screen of this resolution. So to make this as a background, click and drag in the middle. Now instead of eyeballing like this, it's not recommended to do this, so let's make it perfectly fit in the middle. So go to anchors and select this one. So this is going to take all the space on the screen. And now we still have some offsets on the edges. So this offset left, make it all 0, so in all corners. So this is going to be 0, top 0, right 0, and bottom 0. And now it's perfectly fit in the middle. More in depth for the anchors in the following lessons for the responsive UI. But for now, to make this as a background, we're gonna need this to anchor it on the middle. Now we cannot see anything on the screen because of this image is blocking everything, our background, so it needs to be the last in order. To do this, you can go to the Z order and you can type, for example, something like -5. And that way, always going to take space the last. And that way, everything is going to be on top of this background. Because if you select this button, the order is 0. If you type here, for example, -6, it's going to go behind the background. Now let's go to 0. So this is one way of doing it. The other way, select the background. Let's make this as a normal, like a 0. And click this image and put it on top of the button. So that way, this is the last in hierarchy. If you remember in the previous lesson, the last element you put on the UI that has higher priority, which means it's going to be on top of everything else before that. So if I put the text over here, it's going to be on top of the background and on top of the button. But if I select this text and put on top of the button, now you see it's behind the button. And if I drag this text and put on top of the image, it's going to be hidden, because now the text is behind this background. So this is how layers work. Now you cannot find this text anywhere because it's behind the background. What you can do is go to the left side, select it over here, and put it under the image. And now you can freely drag and move. Now if you want to detach this from the background, you can click and drag. And now since the anchors were on the whole screen, you can click on the middle anchor. And we can do this different size, for example, something like 300 by 400. And now it's off of the background. Now let me reduce this 200 by 200 so I can see better. Now if you go to draw as image, let's go to rounded box. And now we have this perfect circle, right? If you select it, we have here coordinate radius and we have a rounding type. Now it takes the whole circle. Now if you click on this fixed radius, that means we can determine how much we want to have corners. At the moment there is all 0, 0, 0 and 1. So let's make it 10, 10 in each corner. Now you see this corner has 10 each corner. Let's say I want this corner to have 50 and this one 100. This is what you get. Now let's make it 20 each. And let's say we want to add width. So for example, something like 3. Now we can't see the width. Let's say white width. Because of this use brush transparency is unchecked. When you check, now we see it. Now we can change this outline to something else, something like red or green, anything you like depending on your design. To change the width, you can play with the numbers here. I will leave it as a 3. Now if you want to change the look of this image, let's go to brush and let's make everything by default. So compile and save. And we can change the color as well. Okay, now let's make it a bit bigger, so 300 by 300. I'll just put on the side here. Now open the content drawer and select any images you want, just for demonstration purposes. I'll select this cyberpunk and with the image selected, in the brush image, we can assign it over here. And now what we get is something smaller because we have 32 by 32. And it's size to content, but the original image size is going to come if you click on this arrow. Now we have 9020 by 1080. You can still adjust this however you like. Let's say 300 by 300. But if you want to see the original size of this actual image, as you have downloaded, you have to click image size on this default button. So it's up to you depending on what you are creating. So I'm going to leave this for now like this. In the future lessons, we are going to change everything. Okay, so for the following lessons, keep this everything as it is like this, because we're going to need them for the following lessons for responsive UI lesson. Okay, this is going to be it for this video. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.